So, welcome back, everyone, to the fifth part of our 5-day series of the peace. Where has peace gone? We've talked about many things. What is peace? How is our peace broken? Where can we find our peace? Who is the solution to our peace? And now we're talking about our fifth part, which is here with our guest, Boris. So, Boris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Boris. A bit about myself is I'm in my second year. We'll completed our second year of religious studies. I love sports. I like music. I also love to learn. And I think that's one thing that Burman provides a lot to. In the past 2 years, I've learned a lot. But this past semester, I took a class with the GOAT himself, Dr. Samraj. And if you know him, he's very funny. But he also provides a lot of knowledge for you. And the class was called Philosophy of the Mind. And the reason I like to start this podcast or this series with the mind is because it plays a lot with how we think and how we react to certain situations. And for my topic, moving from a place of fear to a place of peace, our mind is, I think, a central piece in that movement. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's get straight to the questions then. All right.
Cool.
So the first question is, what is our default as humans when it comes to fearful situations? How do we naturally act?
I personally think as humans, our default can really be changed by our mind and can be influenced on what is real and what is not. However, what is difficult for us to realize is that instead of making this fearful situation a facade or not real, we oftentimes put it in that light. We want to put our heads in a sorry. However, it is difficult to realize that these are temporary scenarios that we put in our head that won't last. So a lot of times we try to assume that they don't matter, or these situations aren't real, and it's part of coping mechanisms. You know, there are healthy coping mechanisms and there are unhealthy ones that we come across. I think the healthy way to go about it is to rise above the situation and try to think of, okay, because this is real, let's see what other things that I can do. And then there are unhealthy ones where you allow the situation to dictate how you go in life, how you make decisions and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay. So then how can fear be self-inflicted? How can we ourselves inflict fear?
Fear can be very much self-inflicted, and it depends on how the individual reacts to certain situations and how the individual can make a situation harm themselves. Oftentimes I put myself in situations where I'm like, this was not smart for me to do. I should not be in this situation, like going to watch a horror film with like my friends because it's a cool thing to do or spending time with them. And then as small as that can be, you're putting yourself in an environment where fear can enter.
Fear can enter, yeah.
Also, it can be like when you're growing older and you're married and then you're gonna go see the in-laws and you're having this whole conversation about do I have your permission to marry your wife or your husband? Those are situations that are very, very, very fearful. But even though it's self-inflicted, it's also something that we can learn from. It's like, okay, this is the situation I'm in. This is the place I'm in. But like, how can God draw me further away from that and closer to Him?
Wow, yeah. That's a very good answer. All right. So the next question is, why is it that youth view church as a factor of fear and not of peace?
I think one of the main reasons, and I grew up in the church, obviously, but I think one of the main reasons why the church has kind of been more of a fear factor than a peace factor is being in the Seventh-day Adventist church. It's a conservative church, and a lot of conservative churches focus on more of the rules and regulations, which aren't totally wrong. Like, we should have rules, but when it's overemphasized, it becomes harder to make connections, harder to make relationships with the pastors, with the elders. And so growing up in the church, I felt like it was more of an obligation rather than a place of worship. My mom Saturday mornings would be like, all right, you're going to church, whether you like it or not, we're going to worship. And all was good still because I was kept in the church and I was kept with the values that I believe in to this day. But it was hard to view church as a people, and easier to view it as just a building where we have a set of laws and a set of rules to follow. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So what does peace truly mean then?
What does peace truly mean?
Yes.
I think peace first off, goes beyond the situation and circumstance you're in. A common misconception is that peace is contingent on how well you're doing in life.
Mm-hmm.
That if things are, always going up like an incline, that's what peace is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not realistic, and it's not even biblical, because in John 14:27, it says that peace I leave with you, peace I give to you. I do not give as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Mm-hmm. And what John is saying here is that peace is not portrayed how the world portrays peace. Like the world portrays peace as, having more fame, having more money, having all of these things is what helps you with having peace. But it's more than that. Peace is something that is given once you know who Jesus really is. Mm-hmm. And we actually will have a question later on that talks about more in depth of what Jesus and peace and how they're related.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then, how do we gain peace in the age that we live in today?
Well, that question is dependent on who you're talking to. More times than not, if you were to ask this question to a non-believer, they would most likely equate peace to be superficial. They might say peace is gained by making yourself happy, playing video games with your friends, all that stuff. They might say, however, if you were to ask the same question to someone who believes in God, they would be more inclined to say that peace is gained through a person. Okay. I honestly believe that both answers actually are right. They kind of complement each other to some degree. I think we can conclude that peace is, to some extent, gives us a sense of happiness, gives us a sense of I'm content at where I am. But that happiness doesn't come from our own ambitions, our own choices. I believe that the only way to actually truly be happy in a fearful state is to acquire it by being as close as we can to Jesus.
Wow. Yeah. Very, very good answer. Very good answer. Okay, so then out of all the Bible characters there are, which Bible character inspires you the most when it comes to having a peace of mind?
Yeah, there's a lot. The one that comes to mind first is Joseph. Mm-hmm. He's someone who was betrayed by his siblings, by his brothers, sold into slavery. Mm-hmm. And while he was there in Egypt, he was tempted, he was tried. And even though it was a difficult place to be in, he had a peace of mind that God was with him wherever he went. And he was staying consistent with that. There are tons more. There's Abraham, David, Jonah, Elijah. There's so many more characters that, had this character of, like, I know God is with me, and so there's nothing more that I need to fear, right? Yeah. And one more character that I think in this story, in the context of this story, really drives home the fact that we need Jesus is the story of Daniel, and how just for simply believing in what he wanted to believe in and believing in the creator of the universe, he was thrown into a furnace to die. So hot that even the guards around him died. Like, I can't even imagine or picture something that hot. But being in that situation, Nebuchadnezzar realized that there was a fourth person in that picture. And that because they were all together, they were not even touched, not even a scratch on them, not scorched at all, because of their proximity to Jesus. So I think Daniel's story, for me, depicts what peace truly is.
Wow, that's very, very, very good answer, man. Mm-hmm. All right. So then, has there been a moment in your life where fear and peace seem to be living in your mind simultaneously?
Yeah, there have been a lot of times where the two polar opposites, fear and peace, coexisted in my mind. A place where I'm, trying to find out what I'm gonna do with my life, how I want to go on with the program, with friends, all of these things. It's the unknown is very fearful. Yeah. But I also have this assurance that because God has never proven to be false or proven to do wrong, and he never will, I'm like, okay, I can be peaceful. I don't have to worry about anything because God has my back. So yeah, there's been multiple times, but I have that assurance that peace will win in the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then this question, is peace a feeling or is it a person or is it something else?
I believe that peace can actually be both a person and a feeling. If you've ever experienced a hard day at work or a hard day at school, and then you go home, you sit on your couch, you kick up your feet, recline, you have your family there, you have popcorn, and you're watching a movie, and you're having a good time, you're chilling. I believe that that's peaceful, and it's a feeling of listen, I'm here with my family, I'm chilling, I'm vibing, and there's not much more that I need to worry about, right? But if that's all we rely on, it's not consistent. It's not foundational. Peace is also much more a person. There's two levels here. There's the first level where it's kind of just on the ground. It's circumstantial based. Like I'm in a state of peace because of the things that are around me. Even though it's a hard day, I can go home or I can go to eat ice cream with some friends. But once you level up, you realize that peace is more of a person. Peace is Jesus who gives us that peace. Like John said in John 14:27. It's something that is consistent because we're inconsistent. So yeah.
Okay. So then, why does God allow us to experience fear?
I believe God allows us to experience fear so that we're able to recognize Him. During our lifetime, I think we often we are often more capable of. I think we often think of ourselves more capable than we actually are. Capable in thinking that this fear is not realistic, as I said before, or this fear is something that is self-inflicted, which it can be. But I think God allows us to be in positions of fear or be in circumstances which is not joyful or not happy, because He wants us to show the difference between who He is and who the devil is and what his intentions are. I think He wants us to differentiate between who God is and who the devil is. What God's intentions with you and on this life, on this journey, and what the devil wants. The devil wants to be selfish, and he wants you not to enjoy life. But God wants you to enjoy life, not only life here, but also life in heaven for eternal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how can fear affect a believer's faith in God? Is there any way fear can?
Yeah, it can a lot. A lot of time, it's impacted my life a lot when I don't know what to do, or let's say when I was younger and I used to steal from like the stores, just like the sidebar, and I take a candy and think that no one would find out, and that I can't tell my mom because I'm fearful now. I don't want to admit the wrong that I've done, right? And I think it applies to any situation. It can affect your belief, because I think sometimes we think of fear as the consequence to our wrongdoing or the consequence to something that we've done in the past. But God wants us to remind God wants to remind us that even though you're in a place of fear and in a place of uncertainty, like we have been in this pandemic, that we have a God who knows beginning from the end. And regardless of the fact that we're in, God is still with us. God is still present. It reminds me of the story of Jesus sleeping on the boat with his disciples. And they were overwhelmingly confused of how he's able to stay so peaceful. It's because he doesn't have to worry about it, because his heavenly Father has him in his hands. So yeah, I that's what I strongly believe, that it can affect it, but it can also lead to something greater.
Yeah, it almost makes it very personal, having that peace so accessible to us, right? So then, with everything that we've talked about, how can we move from fear to peace?
I think moving from fear to peace starts with seeking who Jesus is, because even in the church, there are people who haven't presented Jesus the way that the Bible does, or the way that it may be presented in the way that who Jesus is to them, but who Jesus is, even though he's consistent, he can be different to me, and how I live my life, and how I operate in times of fear, and how my coping mechanisms are. So I think the way we move from fear to peace is spending time with Jesus, and how that is done, reading the Bible. How that is done, spending time, meeting other people, knowing who they are, impacting their lives with the things that we've known, that the things that we've learned from the Bible, the things that we've learned from our experiences, from our time with community in the church, presenting Jesus in a way that can put someone's mind at ease. Like, for me, it would be amazing to see that someone is stressful, someone is sick, and then you just say the word Jesus, the name Jesus, and everything else changes. So that's how I believe that we move from fear to peace, is by staying closer and connected to the one who is peace, the one who is the Prince of Peace, the one who knows beginning from the end. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Boris, for sharing.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to the viewers for watching and being part of this 5-day series. Where has peace gone? Well, we found the answer this week, right? And if you just tuned into the 5th one, we recommend you to start from the beginning. And you can catch up with this whole series. We'll have it online. But thank you so much for tuning in. And as we know it, the source of our peace is Jesus Christ. And by going to him, like you said, by going to the one who provides peace, we can be at ease. Yeah. Whether storms in our life may be coming, whether even at the happiest moments of our lives, right? Peace is something that we can find through Jesus if we are connected to him. And he wants to connect with you, He's only a prayer away, a text away. So thank you so much for joining us, and God bless you guys. And we'll have more information on the peace topic at the end of this video. Take care. God bless.